Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to your WWE Monday Night What the Fuck review for August 30th, 2021. We had about 2 or 3 matches that were advertised last week at the end of Raw, a Raw that I was at here in San Diego, none of which took place tonight. We were supposed to see Bobby Lashley take on Sheamus, The Miz take on John Morrison, and they had teased something last week with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. Seems like all of that has just been erased, and WWE's just pretending that last week didn't happen. So I'm really glad I spent my money on that Raw ticket. What a weird show tonight. Right off the bat, I'm going to need your ratings for the show. Give me your grades, A, B, C, or D, 1 through 10 or 0 through 10, in the comments and in the chat there, and let's see what you guys thought about this show. It was largely skippable. Very little happened. The one saving grace on the show is I got to give props to all 3 men. Sheamus, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre had themselves a hell of a triple threat match tonight for the United States title and a big statement win for Damian Priest. Extremely happy for him. Aside from that, not a whole lot to discuss on the show. Main event was kind of good because RK Bro is extremely entertaining. They pulled off the victory here, retained the titles against a very tough team, Duff Duo and the WWE Champion and MVP. But, you know, aside from just a couple of bright moments, largely not a very good show. And what the hell was going on with Nia Jax and Charlotte? I think they were shooting on each other a little bit. Nia peppered Charlotte with a little 3-piece, a little extra crispy. Psh, psh, psh. Bitch slapped her all around the ring. It looked like they were kind of not cooperating with each other for a minute or two there. And kind of a surprising outcome in that match as well. So I guess if nothing else, it was a slightly interesting Raw, but, you know, certainly nothing that was significant in terms of you didn't see the show. You don't even need to go back and bother watching anything. Maybe check out that triple threat if you just want to see a good match or something. Other than that, you know, just skip it. Very little was set up here about the future. We've got Extreme Rules coming up at the next pay-per-view, but we also have Crown Jewel coming up in Saudi Arabia in October, which looks like the place where they're going to run back Lashley and Goldberg, and we're probably going to get Brock and Roman on that show as well. It's looking like that anyway. So between now and then, they got some time to kill, and tonight was largely skippable, and it makes me... You know, it doesn't give me much faith in this company when they book matches a week in advance only just to erase it. Probably all these decisions were made like 4 hours before the show. I used the Bobby Lashley and Sheamus match graphic as my thumbnail earlier on here because that match was advertised all the way up until today. And then everything was scrapped and they just pretended like none of that shit ever mattered. Didn't even mention it really on TV. The Morrison kind of did. Said something about the Miz running away to Hollywood or something like that, so he's laying down a challenge to Omos. I'd rather take on the Miz if it's all the same to you guys, so I don't know what's going on. They're not getting any better, even with the growing momentum of AEW. It doesn't seem like WWE's really trying very hard from a creative aspect, and it's just extremely formulaic, rinse and repeat nonsense, you know, promo, interruption, match. I mean, just how many times can you do that? You know, they've just done it to death. This show is painful to watch, and tonight was one of the worst offenders in terms of really making me struggle through the entire 3 hours. But luckily, Priest, Drew, and Sheamus saved it a little bit, and if it's a match that you did not see, you probably want to watch it. It's pretty good stuff, and all in all, I think most fans were happy with the direction that Damian Priest is heading in and whatnot, but largely kind of a head-scratching show there. So we'll get into it. We'll discuss all of the results here throughout the show. Probably not going to spend a ton of time on everything. I'll get out of here relatively early tonight because I just don't see how we can fill a 2-hour show or a 2-hour podcast or stream talking about the results that we got here on this show. So depending on how the audience is, if you guys want to chat and ask questions, we'll hang out as long as possible. Otherwise, we'll roll through the show and probably get the hell on out of here. A couple of programming notes for you. I want to thank everybody that joined us last night for the classic pay-per-view watch-along. We did Fall Brawl 1996. It was Team WCW versus Team NWO. Very fun. 25-year anniversary of that show is coming up here next month, and that was a fun one to take a look back at and watch yesterday. So thank you, everyone that was here for that. In the month of September, I want to do a couple of Unforgivens, and in the month of October, probably want to do a Halloween Havoc or two, shit like that, Survivor Series in November, and so forth. But The watch-along Sundays will not be every single Sunday during the fall, only most Sundays, with the occasional Sunday being taken off if there's a big football game on here in the States and, people have got, doing other shit or whatever. In the fall and winter months, we're going to skip certain weeks because you're going to start getting me for watch-alongs every single Wednesday starting this fall. So I'm kind of hammering out my new fall schedule for the channel here because things are getting a lot easier at my main job. So I'm going to make myself available to be home every Wednesday, and we're going to watch Dynamite together, starting the Dynamite After All Out on September 8th. That's when we're going to start watching Dynamites together every single week. There might be an occasional week here that I can't make it or whatnot, but that's the plan, is to try to be here for most weeks to watch Dynamite. I think that will be fun because Dynamite kind of keeps us on the edge of our seats a little bit more than Raw or SmackDown does, and I think it would be a fun kind of show to react to weekly and give us something fun to do. And then we'll still do the watch-alongs, classic reviews, and shit like that on a good portion of the Sundays, but not all of them. And, of course, you'll still get me on Mondays, and you'll still get me on Saturdays for the podcast. It's going to be a full schedule, and you'll see me probably on average 4 times or more per week all throughout the fall and winter months. So just keep that in mind. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. Good time to do that is right now. Also a good time to smack that thumbs up button and help out the channel every way you can. I got a classic review in the works, Patreon-sponsored review that I'm working on right now. Probably going to record that tonight, or tomorrow, and that is Great American Bash 1989, Glory Days. Interesting show, Flair and Funk, big War Games main event, crazy battle royal, and a lot of technical difficulties on that show. And it was the first show ever produced by WCW when Ted Turner bought basically created WCW and purchased the Crockett's promotion and whatnot. So that's the first pay-per-view. We're going to talk about it. It was interesting, and stay tuned for that coming up probably within the next week here on the channel. Got a retro review. So that's about it in terms of what y'all need to know for the future. I'll go over here, say hello to the chat, knock out any super chats that happen to be here, and then we will start out with Damian Priest's promo and open challenge and all that stuff. Anywho, let me say hello to, all the way up at the top, to Josh, and Tatanani is back, and Trey Williams and Zane G. What's going on? K-Dog's Kennel, great to see you as well. Martin Can, thank you very much for the very nice super chat drop there. Appreciate it, and good to see you. Hey, Greg, hope you're well. Awful episode of Raw tonight. Never trust a rewritten Raw. Tonight was clearly rewritten, and Eva Marie's selling tonight was absolutely atrocious and a joke to wrestling. By the way, love your 90s pic on Twitter. Oh, yeah, the picture of when I bought that one of my cars. It was the thing to do today. Tweet a picture of yourself from the 90s, and I bought an old, it was a 97 Pontiac Grand Prix. And when I bought it, like, the car salesman wanted to take a picture of me, like, outside the dealership, or whatever. So I stood there and took a picture, and that was my 90s pick today. So I'm glad you enjoyed that, Martin. But yeah, I actually thought Eva Marie took a okay ass beating from Dewdrop, but I just hate that whole entire thing. And I'm just not a fan of Eva Marie at all, in any way whatsoever. She's not even my type. I don't even find her hot. It's just, there's nothing appealing about her to me whatsoever. But she's taking her lumps out there. She's, as far as I know, she's perfectly liked, backstage or whatever. So she's doing a good job of being that heel. But I don't really think she's got too much heat or anything behind the scenes. As far as I know, she gets along with everybody, does business, and she's I think her gimmick is to kind of be like a Kardashian. But I don't believe behind the scenes she's really one, unless we hear some reports differently. But yeah, she's not really my favorite, but she has been around a while. I mean, she's been in the ring taking bumps now for 7 years or something. You got to be a little bit good after 7 years of training, don't you? I don't know. Whatever, though. I like Dewdrop much better than her. It's good to see Ben Espinoza in the chat as well. William is here. Charlie JC. Remember when Daw would end? Maybe you meant Raw, and you couldn't wait for next week. I remember that, of course, like it was yesterday. Every Raw was like that. What's up? Deshaun Robinson is here too. Good to see you. Hey, folks, what's up, Greg? Didn't watch Raw because why not? But I did. But I heard Nia and Charlotte were no selling each other's moves on live TV. Pretty much is what went on there. I was watching it, and I thought it was a rougher match than normal, and it didn't look, it was just clunky and shit. And then finally they start they start trading some shit, and Nia's getting mad, and she kind of like yells at Charlotte like stop or don't or something like that, and then boom, 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 and then just peppers her with just a spicy 3-piece right to Charlotte's face, knocked her silly, and Charlotte still sold and continued the match. I'm curious what the report on this is going to be. I'm sure Fightful Select will dive right into that as soon as they can and have something up by tomorrow. I'm curious what went on there, if there was real kind of miscommunication. I'm sure whatever happened, hopefully behind the scenes, was taken care of. I did see at the end of Raw, they showed the little Raw Talk graphic as they were signing off, and Nia Jax is scheduled to be on Raw Talk. So if any guys want to peek over there and see if she's saying anything, feel free. Unless they pulled her at last minute or whatever, but she looked, her face looked beat up. I don't know if Charlotte caught her with a stiff something or other, but Nia hit her pretty good and even dropped her kind of on a power bomb a little bit later on. So it was just an ugly match and a weird match, and very curious to get the backstory on that whenever that becomes available. Good to see Michael Cuomo and Sex Machine. That makes two of us. Good to see you in here as well. And you got a $2 super chat from Michael. Thank you so much, man. Jimmy Smith is not half bad on an announcer. No, not at all. I said that from week one. And the minute you start kind of blending in, because I never pay attention to the announcers anyway. It's just so much nonsense. 95% of what they say is meaningless. So it's like I just have developed this ability as a 40-year-long wrestling fan to tune those motherfuckers out. I don't even listen to them. Sometimes I will watch an entire show and not even know who the announcers were. I'm like, who the fuck was on? And then I have to think about it and hear the voices. I'm like, okay, it was Cole and what's his face, but I don't even pay attention. Same thing with the referees. WWE has sucked the fun out of even having referees. Back in the day, you knew Jack Doan and Jimmy Corderas and Mike Chioda and Timmy White and Earl Hebner and all the, the regular crew there of awesome, legendary Hall of Fame officials. Nowadays, the referees somehow just get deleted out, like get photoshopped out of my memory. I don't even see them. I can watch an entire match, and when it's done, not even tell you if it was Jessica Carr or not. I don't even know if the referee was a man or a woman. Like, I literally don't pay attention at all. And the commentators are kind of the same way, or the announcers are kind of the same way for me like that now. So when Jimmy Smith came in, one of the first things I said, I'm like, on week one, I was already kind of back to watching Monday Night Raw to where the announcers weren't noticeable. When you're so bad that you notice, like what's his face was that they let go, was just there. Well, I can't remember his name now. The ESPN guy, or Mike Adamle, or somebody that's just notably not a good fit. They can distract you. But if you're good at what you do, and Jimmy Smith, I think, is a guy that just kind of fit right in there. And I prefer Tom Phillips. I don't see any reason to really even get rid of him. I don't know why you would get rid of him and bring on Jimmy Smith, but Jimmy Smith is fine. He does a great job. He's made the transition nicely, and whenever you can just kind of fit right in to where, the fans aren't fixated on you and the job you're doing, you're just in there doing it, you fit right into that machine perfectly like a glove, and he's doing a good job, so I agree with you. Jay Lambo's here, Steel Spurs, Albert Garcia in the house, Mikey, and K-Dog's Kennel, Pukey Faces, Goldberg, Lashley 2 at Crown Jewel. Seems likely at this point. We're going to talk about Goldberg's comments later on. He did a little digital exclusive that was actually released earlier on in the day, I think on YouTube and all over social media. They replayed that here on Raw, and it just doesn't make anybody happy. Tomas Aridia, thank you very much, man, for the $5. I can't believe they ruined a badass like Piper Niven. I'll never forgive WWE for that. We will see where it goes. This is a vastly different kind of character and persona for her. They're kind of spinning it now to where I guess maybe they know the fans are going to hate the name, so they're kind of making it to where she wants to keep the name just to prove to Eva Marie, who gave her that name, to kind of insult her, that she can take something like that and be a bigger star than she ever was, or whatever kind of the internal motivation with Dewdrop is there. And she did the promo where she said, that's my name. I'm Dewdrop now. So that's her, but I would just rather her be Piper Niven. That's WWE for you. They're taking somebody like Piper Niven, who really didn't have anything wrong with her character at all, could have came in right away and been a big-time player in the women's division, especially if you, if you position her for an eventual clash, with Nia Jax. Maybe Nia Jax puts her over and, she gets rolling as, one of the stronger, larger women on the roster. That's all you really needed to do for her, because she's really good and she's better than Nia Jax. For someone as big as her, she's better than Nia. She's got more athleticism to her. She can do more, I feel like. So let her do more. and let her be Piper Niven. So now they're trying to make it to where she's just going to, turn on, or she's going to make it Eva Marie's her motivation for keeping the name or whatnot. I don't see any reason to do that, but they're doing it. And who knows, this might turn out to be some more notoriety for her. I mean, she was only in NXT UK, you got to remember. So this is a big step up to be on the roster. It depends on how you look at it. Some people are going to say, oh, she's ruined. I can't believe what they've done with her. When in reality, even though I kind of see where you're coming from, this is the best that she's ever done in her career. She's higher right now and more recognizable and has more exposure now than she ever did as Piper Niven. So it just depends on how you look at it. She's getting her face on TV. She's getting TV time. She's building up her brand, her name, her face, whatever, even though she's not going to be able to keep her name if she ever leaves. But, now she's going to be on WWE, and she's going to be a WWE wrestler. If she ever leaves there, that's going to allow her, to charge a hefty price for wherever she goes next. That's all good for her career. And who knows, she might be, she kind of reminds me a little bit of Nikki Cross in a way that it's a gimmick. It's a silly gimmick on somebody that doesn't really need a silly gimmick. But, if she's enthusiastic and works her ass off to get it over, we've seen crazier things get over. We've seen gimmicks that have been an absolute joke that turn out to be a really big deal because it was just something that randomly fits. Jury's still out if that's the case with Dewdrop. I don't think so, but I think that, as long as she goes out there, you would think anyway, as long as she goes out there and has decent matches, that should be enough for WWE management to keep her on TV all the time and make her, an eventual contender. But then again, that women's division is so fucking weird. I don't know, but, nobody really likes Dewdrop. I'm doing my best to find the silver lining there. But yeah, just bringing her in or changing her name at all is just as silly as putting the fucking Skeletor outfit or whatever, Super Shredder outfit on Karrion Kross, who's already coming out there to no reaction as it is. The minute you took away Scarlett, changed that presentation, I felt it was already kind of losing a little bit of momentum, even though I really liked him, coming up on the main roster like that and doing what they did. I mean, the crowd tonight in Oklahoma City, dead. Not one person was making a peep when he came out. I'm like, that sucks. He would have gotten more of a reaction if you just would have left him the fuck alone, but you slap that shit on him and stuff. So there's so many examples of WWE just doing the most head-scratching shit with the most perfectly capable talent that they have there that doesn't really need a whole lot. Might need something or might need some sort of a gimmick, obviously, but Jesus, they're like really overthinking this stuff and they're putting the wildest gimmicks on the people that are talented enough to probably need less of that to get over. You know what I mean? It's just, I hate to say they don't get it. That's the billion-dollar, global company. I'm just Greg, in a master bedroom in a house. A little bit different, but damn, it just seems like they don't know what the fuck. They are so completely, ridiculously, cluelessly, naively out of touch with the audience, what they would like to see, who they want, who they prefer. It's almost a comedy now when you look at it. So that's the way it is. Some of these grades are coming in for Raw, 5 or 6, 9 out of 10. I fell asleep after the first match and missed the whole thing. 9 out of 10. Okay, that's good. So not bad. That might be the trick. If you guys want to be able to get through Raw and enjoy Raw, try sleeping through 75% of it and you just might survive. Excellent advice. I'm going to try that, Mikey. Going to try it right away. Kyle Camen's in the house. Good to see you. Albert, I think I got you earlier. Trey, I think I got you. Trash Jamer. Timothy Hawkins is here. Steven Scott, thank you very much for the $5 as well. Hey, good mic work. I was watching the Battle Royal from WrestleMania 2 and didn't know that Bill Fralick passed away. Did he? When did he pass away? I might have known that. Maybe I've just forgot. Bill Fralick, I think, was kind of feuding with Stud a little bit in that. Oh, he died a couple years ago. Okay, 2018. No shit. I might have remembered. That's probably just something I forgot about. But yeah, Bill Fralick passed away. Yeah, I guess I remembered at the time when it happened, or I heard about it when it happened, but forgot. So thanks for reminding me. Yikes. But yeah, that Battle Royal was something else. Bret Hart was the runner-up in that Battle Royal, wearing the blue trunks, getting tossed out by Andre last. Right on to Neidhart. Fun times, man. Do anything to go back to 86. That would be pretty sweet. Khan would lose money. I don't know if anybody's talking about, AEW would go to Mondays. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it would be fun just to see what kind of dent they put in WWE's ratings, but that's just not what we need. We don't want to go back to that. The Monday Night Wars were fun, but they didn't last long because a company had to die. And TNA tried it, and they ended up having to move. Just, it's better for the fans if we can just have two companies. I don't want to have a fight to the death where there's only one left. We don't want that. We don't need that. And any fan that roots for that's a fucking idiot, because when that happens, it's just detrimental to the fans. Like, we suffer because we lack competition, creativity, the creative juices, competitive juices, that sort of thing. You just lose all of that. And now that we've got another company that's growing, hopefully, they can just keep growing, and become legit competition. There was an article in a finance section of CNBC I was reading today about WWE and their stock prices and the internal shit going on there. And there was a lot of talk about AEW and the growing popularity they're having in the States to becoming an actual competitor to what WWE does. And I'm seeing more and more, articles like that. So they're getting notice, and it's so much different than TNA because there's so much, they have so much better just funding, and they're just ran better, and their production is on par with WWE. It seems streamlined. It doesn't seem Bush League. I was laughing. I told you guys earlier on about the classic pay-per-view review that I have coming up next on the channel of Great American Bash 1989. This is after Ted Turner and his money took over, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, I always felt this way about WCW. We talked about this last night in the watch-along as well for Fall Brawl 96. Even in 96, when the NWO had formed and they were spending so much money on all this talent, for some reason they weren't spending any on the production. It just looked low tech. It looked low budget. It looked like something I could do with whatever video editor comes with whatever shitty computer you bought. Like, it literally looked like something that the most minimal amount of knowledge in video editing or graphics or anything like that could have created. And I'm like, man, it's like WWE was blowing them away from a production aspect. And the video packages and the hype packages and the way everything was set up was so much better. And WCW had all this money. They were doing the biggest business. They had all the big names, but yet, they had such an amateur look to what they did. And AEW does not have that. They've got a good production crew there. Did you see that behind the scenes shit they did of CM Punk, man? They ain't... It's not a bunch of inexperienced monkeys. There's some people with some serious TV production experience running things there, and that's all good. They're putting forth a good product that can actually compete, provide an alternative, and that's good stuff, man. That's what we want. Don't go to Mondays. Don't ruin it. Just be cool, man. Be cool, everybody. Divine Ricks, thank you for the $5. Good to see you. Hey, Greg, after tonight, is it safe to say Adam Cole is all elite? We talked about that in the podcast on Saturday, that if we can get past Monday night, I feel confident that he's gone. There was this story that dropped today that Sean, happy birthday, Sean Ross Sapp, by the way, still stayed busy dropping a pretty big one today about Adam Cole's spot in the company, and that some internal memo went out to the staff saying Cole was no longer with the company. Doesn't necessarily mean he's signed anywhere else, but he's not with them. He is a free agent. He hasn't, at least as of today, signed with anybody definite, but you would think if he was going to stay in WWE, he's had plenty of time to think about that, unless he wanted to get the offer from AEW first and weigh them against each other. It's still possible that he could show up in WWE, but I really hope that he's gone. And I was nervous for tonight. I said on Saturday, we need to get on the other side of Monday Night Raw. If we can get through Monday and Cole does not debut, because I have a feeling if Cole stays with WWE, I think he'll be on Raw, not SmackDown. A lot of people have just got him pegged for SmackDown for some reason. I think maybe it's because the meeting with Vince took place on SmackDown, but that's just where the meeting was. Doesn't mean he was going to be on that show. Plus, they just brought in Brock and Becky. So give Raw something, throw Raw a bone, and Raw is 3 hours. Might be a little bit more room there for Adam Cole to get TV time if he was on Raw rather than SmackDown. So if he did stay with WWE, I kind of think he should be on Raw. So I thought he could show up tonight, especially earlier on in the day when they announced Damian Priest had an open challenge for the U.S. title. I'm like, nah, that would be a mismatch. That's so weird. I was really hoping to not see Adam Cole out there tonight, and we didn't. So not that it's a guarantee or anything, but based on what I said on Saturday, I feel pretty good that with him not showing up tonight, I don't know if he'll be on Dynamite or not. I don't know where I would place him, if I'd get him there right away just for the cool factor of somebody jumping from another company and literally like a week later they're on their other show. We're not going to get that get to see that very often, in today's day and age. So seeing that would be cool, but if you bring him in, you got to figure out the right thing to do with him and everything there too, because there's going to be a big injection of talent. Punk and Bryan coming in. Bray Wyatt's probably going to be the new leader of the Dark Order, and then you add Adam Cole in there. That's, that is a big, hefty chunk of stars right there you just added to your roster that was already pretty solid to begin with. So there's a lot to balance there. But I think we can all agree just him being in AEW would be just tons of fun. Tons of fun, where on Raw or SmackDown, it would be nothing but anxiety and frustration and, oh, God. Oh, Adam Cole has a promo. Somebody interrupted him. Now we get a match. Oh, then somebody calls a DQ. Oh, now there's a commercial. Oh, now there's a tag match. Okay. And then we'll do a rematch next week and the week after and the week after and the week after and the week after. What do you think he's going to pick? I'm going over there. I'm going to Wednesdays. Fuck this place. That's what I'd be saying if I was Adam Cole. But I'm not Adam Cole. I got a lot less hair, but equally as handsome. Anywho, let's get into the Raw results for tonight. Show opened up. Damian Priest hits the ring to begin his open challenge. This was advertised earlier on in the day. All of a sudden, he's going to have an open challenge now. So he comes out, talks some smack on the mic a little bit. Sheamus is the first one out. He wants to answer the challenge. Now, like I said earlier, they had advertised Sheamus and Bobby Lashley because of what went down last week here in San Diego, where Bobby kind of ran out on Sheamus, and Sheamus was pissed. They had words backstage, booked the match for this week. All of a sudden, that just never happened. Sheamus is out there now wanting to challenge Priest for the title. Then Drew McIntyre comes out. And he's out next. He also says he wants a shot at the title. And I was like, putting the U.S. title on Drew, step down, but still keeping him strong, still keeping a championship around his waist. I could kind of see them doing that, but you just gave Priest the title, and he's been on a roll lately. So are you really ending that already? So I was surprised to see Drew come out there. Bobby Lashley hits the ring next. MVP says, hey, he can just take that U.S. title as well, and he can be a double champion, which then prompts RK Bro to come out. You got Orton there. Riddle's with him. Riddle is rambling, talking about how they suck, but not like Roombas, because that's what Roombas are supposed to do, or something like that. And he says, Bobby, you can't hold two championships. Like, how can you even do it? Where would you put it? How would you carry two belts around? And that makes Lashley upset. And he basically says, if I want to be a double champion, I don't have to win the U.S. title. I could just take your tag team titles instead. So then Riddle wants to issue his own open challenge, and he challenges MVP and Lashley to a tag team match later on for the titles. And then Orton kind of whispers to Riddle, he's like, that's not how open challenges work. And he's like, oh, whatever, or whatnot. So Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville make their way out to the stage, of course, and they make Damian Priest versus Sheamus official for the United States title. And they also make Drew Priest versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre official for the United States title. Triple threat match will be the deal there. And then in the main event, we've got RK Bro defending the tag team titles against Bobby Lashley and MVP. So those matches are set for later on. And then the first match we get is Rhea Ripley. Now, have you noticed that couple of trends I'm noticing? WWE goes on these little kicks where they do things a few weeks in a row, and then they stop it. One of the most recent things we were experiencing was those ridiculous championship contender matches, which seem to have stopped. We haven't seen one of those in a while, I don't think. So that was their deal for a little while there. And in most of these opening Raw promos of the past several weeks, whoever's in the ring always has to say, welcome to Monday Night Raw. We're getting welcomed to Raw by the individual in the ring for the last, several weeks as well. And another thing that they're doing is they keep having the wrestlers in the next match come out before the previous shit is done, or before the segment is wrapped up. So Rhea Ripley is coming out here after everybody's still standing out there bitching about the United States and tag team titles. Out comes Rhea Ripley. I'd be perfectly open to seeing a Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest match. That probably would not be bad, but she's out there because she's got a one-on-one match after the commercial break against Shayna Basler. Boy, have we come a long way since that great NXT title match in December of 2019, right before the pandemic, when Rhea Ripley put Shayna down on NXT TV in the main event, winning the title. I was over the moon for her because I thought she was such a badass. I loved Shayna Baszler's run. Every time the fans would whine and bitch about her winning, she wins too much. I would love it when she would keep retaining the title. Loved it and loved watching them get so butthurt about it. But at the same time, the reason I loved Shayna Baszler's run because I wanted somebody to come and smack her in the face and take that title, because that would be a great star-building match for somebody like that who can take out this badass chick who's just mowed down everybody to the point where she's kind of run out of challengers. And here you got Rhea Ripley, who, unlike Bianca Belair, is just a little bit more hardcore. She's a little more metal, the chains, the black makeup, and the piercings. And, where I thought, as good as Bianca was, she was a little bit more, too happy and entertaining and colorful, I guess, to be the person to take down this badass, MMA style chick. So Rhea Ripley, I was waiting for her ever since the previous summer of 2019. I'm like, that's going to be the girl right there. They need to book her on a winning streak and have her take down Shayna at some point. And they did that. And I thought the sky was going to be the limit for Rhea Ripley until, of course, she ran into that blonde wrestler that WWE likes a little bit at WrestleMania in the empty arena, and it's been down the shitter from there. Rhea Ripley's still awesome and everything, but man, when you think about that match on NXT to what they are doing here, this is a meaningless match, not advertised, nothing at stake. They were the two most badass women at one point in NXT, and it is a throwaway match on Monday Night Raw. So frustrating. Rhea Ripley is on the mic before the match. She brings out Nikki ASH to be in her corner, doing a little kind of reluctant love between the two. Nikki jumped in Rhea Ripley's arms last week, and Rhea kind of gave her the funny ass look there. So she's got Nikki at her side here because, Shayna is going to be backed up by Nia Jax. So Nia's on the outside of the ring. Nia goes on to proclaim that she's going to beat the fuck out of everybody tonight, and she comes through on that promise. So on the outside of the ring during the match, Nia takes out Nikki Cross, hits her with a Samoan drop on the floor. Rhea Ripley kind of gets distracted by that. Shayna Baszler goes to roll her up in a cradle. Rhea reverses it, hooks the leg, and is able to cradle Shayna Baszler and get the quick 3 count there, at which time Nia Jax hits the ring, attacks Rhea Ripley, and hits her with a Samoan drop. So she took out both Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH, and she's going to have a match later on against Charlotte, which would get really, really interesting. Here's a match that happened. The Viking Raiders defeated Jinder Mahal and Veer. They got in the ring, they wrestled, and one team won and one team lost. There you go. After that, we got the triple threat United States title match. This thing was a dandy, as Jim Ross would say. Damian Priest defending against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. And this was so good. And what was so frustrating about Raw sometimes is before the bell even rang, I'm like, you know what? All 3 of these guys can go. Priest has been impressive as hell. We all know what Drew can do. And Sheamus, I think, has had the best matches of his career in the last year or two. So I was like, this is going to be really good. The problem is I just don't care. They don't make me care about anything here. So it's up to the wrestlers to make me care. And you know what? They did. They did. Amazing match. Thing was awesome. This is awesome chants from the crowd. It was one of the only times of the night that the OKC crowd was actually fucking awake, and they loved it. And these guys all worked really well. It was great pacing on everything. Triple threats can kind of be clusterfuck sometimes, but these guys are all pros. Drew and Sheamus, of course, know everybody or know each other very well. And Priest has been just doing a great job since he's been on the main roster. And this was a big kind of showcase for him. I mean, he's in there with couple of former WWE champions here. And we've been seeing how high WWE is on Damian Priest. So here I'm watching this match thinking, okay, it's going to be an awesome match, and Priest will pin Sheamus to retain. I don't think they're going to take the belt off of him here, and since Sheamus is in the match, it's a way to keep Drew McIntyre from taking a loss. But boy, did they surprise me here. Really, really surprising and delightful finish here in the end. After these guys have this kick-ass match together, we get near the end. Drew goes for a Claymore, but gets nailed with what I thought was a brogue kick, but Corey Graves called it a knee to the jaw, and Sheamus just tagged McIntyre hard as he was going for the Claymore. He goes down. I thought that was going to be it, but he ended up kicking out. Very close near fall there. In the end, Sheamus gets disposed of, and Damian Priest winds up, I believe, hitting the Reckoning on Drew McIntyre and pinning him right in the middle of the ring. Pinned him. When was the last time we've seen something like that? I mean, shit, they even kept Drew strong in the WrestleMania match with Bobby Lashley. So this was a huge win. And the fact that he pinned Drew McIntyre, not Sheamus, I thought was very telling in this. And after the match, what made it even better is that Drew and Damian Priest had a little handshake, a little show of respect there. And that's a big time endorsement for Damian Priest from Drew McIntyre. That was a great moment. And that's something that I was pleasantly surprised to see. Because if you want to push somebody, push them. And one of my biggest complaints about Damian Priest, we talked about this last week in the Raw review when I made it home in time to come up an hour late after I went to the show. And one of the things I talked about Damian Priest, I'm like, they can give him the U.S. title and everything all they want, but it just seems like he's won a lot of matches and they're definitely pushing him strong. But like, what has he really done? He did all the Bad Bunny shit around WrestleMania time. But then he was kind of just on TV sporadically here or there. And then he even kind of rekindled the shit that he did already with Miz and Morrison to the point where I think we got John Morrison versus Damian Priest on Monday Night Raw like 5 or 6 times since April. And a couple of those times were weeks in a row. And it's like, okay, Priest is not losing or anything, but what are you really doing with him? It's just the same shit. They're not coming up with anything fun. They're not putting him in a position to get over on his own. The fans just really like him. I haven't seen too many critics at all of Damian Priest. Across the board, most people just like him. They like his attitude. They like his personality. They like his look. They think he's good in the ring. And I think all of that's really good. So why doesn't WWE do more with him? Give him a big statement victory or put him in situations to where the fans can, can have a relationship with him, where there's a reason for them to root for him or invest or whatnot. Just if you want to get the guy over, then get him the fuck over. Don't just put him out there and just write some shit during lunch 3 hours before the show, put him in there with Morrison and he'll win. Come on, let's do more. So this here, I think, was a step in the right direction to where he was in there with somebody that the casual eye or the observing wrestling fan's eye would just assume this is a triple threat. So Drew doesn't have to eat the pin, but he does. That's an endorsement. Great way to put over Damian Priest. And that match was the lone bright spot in the show tonight because that was fantastic. So good to see Damian Priest get a little bit of a boost there from Drew McIntyre. We'll see if they follow through with it, if it means anything, or if they'll just forget all about it next week. But at least for right now, not bad. Happy for Damian Priest. Seems like just one hell of a guy, So we root for him here on the channel. Because why wouldn't you? By the way, if you want to tap that thumbs up button for me, I would really appreciate it. Try to get us up a little bit here if we could. I'm going to knock out another super chat rolling in from JJ Leg. Thank you for the $2. If they can keep it quiet, Adam Cole at All Out. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's up to them. I think that Adam Cole being at All Out would be tough to do if Daniel Bryan is going to be there. You want to space these things out. You got a lot of big shows still coming up. You got Full Gear after All Out. You got that big Arthur Ashe Dynamite coming up in September, which could be a good spot for an Adam Cole debut or a title change, but they also find themselves in the interesting and pretty rare situation to where they do have the ability to bring someone in right away, fresh off of WWE TV without any no compete. So that they might want to take that in consideration. If we sign you, we kind of want to put you out there right away because that would be so fast. That would create a lot of buzz. If you wait a month, not that fans still won't mark out when he gets there, but if you wait a month, maybe a little bit of that, then it's kind of like you created your own no compete. You gave him a no compete anyway, even without him having one. So I think if you're lucky enough to find yourself in a position where you have a big star who can come in right away, you bring them in right away. So as crazy as it sounds, I'd have Cole out there on Dynamite on Wednesday if he agrees to come in. And I would do that largely in part due to his contract because he's available right now. If they had some time to kill, find a good spot, do it at pay-per-view, do it whatever. But if Cole's signing and Cole has signed an agreement, I'm bringing him in right away. But if he wants to take some time, if Cole chooses to take a few weeks, to mull it over, then you got some time and you can figure out the better place for him to go. But if he's ready to sign on the dotted line like today, then I'm booking him a flight to wherever the fuck Dynamite is this week, and I'm getting his ass out there. Just keep it going, man. Keep that fucking ball rolling. I mean, there is gonna be a drop off here because they are hitting us with so much stuff. Imagine if we get CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, and Bray Wyatt all within 8 weeks. It's a lot. Eventually, that's gotta, you can't just constantly have a humongous star coming into your company like every 2 weeks. So eventually that's going to have to drop off. So it just how they space it out, how they decide to manage it. It's probably not easy to balance all that shit, but it'll be fun finding out what they do. It'll be fun finding out what Adam Cole's decision is as well. I hope it's the one we want. Oh, good. We get to talk about Goldberg next. Now, earlier on in the day, WWE released this nonsense of Goldberg, I guess, getting in his truck. Anytime Goldberg's next to a car, I laugh because I can't help but think about him punching his hand through the window and slicing his shit up. So he's out there, he's approached by somebody from WWE and they're asking him some stuff. And he basically just goes on to say that he's pissed at Bobby Lashley and his son is sore and his shoulder's all jacked from the assault from Bobby Lashley. And a guy his size could have killed my kid and done a lot of damage to my son. So my motivation has changed. My mission has changed. I am no longer going after the WWE Championship. I'm going after Bobby Lashley's soul. I'm going to fucking kill him for what he did to my son, and he's out for blood now. So it looks like they're setting up the next confrontation or whatnot. Now, with Goldberg's contract, we had heard the reports that he was only signed on to do 2 matches this year. He's done 2 against McIntyre and Lashley, but I had said previously, I'm like, well, Saudi Arabia could be a different story because don't forget, they didn't do the Saudi Arabia shows last year. They missed one, which I'm sure they were going to have Goldberg on that show. And plus, I think the Saudi Arabia deals are kind of like, for certain wrestlers, probably like a wrestler like Goldberg or Brock, they're kind of side hustles. You know what I mean? Like Goldberg's got his contract, but Goldberg's not going to want to miss the Saudi Arabia show because he knows what kind of a payday that is. That's probably $1 million for Goldberg to go in and wrestle one shitty match on the other side of the world. Unbelievable. But he's not going to let that pass up. So I almost think that if you have that match bullshit in your contract, part of me thinks that Saudi Arabia is not included in that. That's like a separate deal. You get a separate check if you're Brock or Goldberg for that. Maybe not if you're everybody else, but at least for those guys, they get some pretty decent money there. So it feels like they're going to set that up for Saudi Arabia, but Jesus, man, Goldberg and Saudi Arabia just do not mix. If they fucking beat Bobby Lashley, or, because Goldberg's going to be out for revenge or whatnot, maybe it's a non-title match, maybe it's a street fight or some sort of a match like that. Maybe they even put the kid in the ring and it's a tag team match against MVP and Lashley. I don't know. But you've got an opportunity here for Lashley to have some big time opponents down the road, namely Brock Lesnar. If you can hold this thing off long enough to get into next year around Royal Rumble time or WrestleMania time, and you can somehow make that match, having him go down to Goldberg at any point prior to that would be suicidal and the dumbest fucking thing you can do. But this is WWE we're talking about, and we have to always think the worst because the worst is likely what we're going to see. So I don't know what match they're going to set up, if Goldberg is going to stay true to his word and not want the title and they just book a fight, or, if this does turn out to be a title match and shit, I don't know what then. But I still feel like, unless we get some word, we'll keep our eyes on the, the sheets. If anybody has any news on Goldberg's contract, if he has signed on to do a couple of more matches, maybe he's, going to work more this year. So maybe he would win the title at Saudi Arabia and then drop it. Maybe he'll win the title at Saudi Arabia to set up. Survivor Series. I feel like, do you guys feel like we should still get Roman and Goldberg at this point? I don't need to see it. I don't give a fuck, but WWE might. So it might be a good way to get those two back together, Roman and Goldberg, at Survivor Series, assuming, of course, Roman survives Brock, which is no guarantee, because I find it hard to believe that Brock would come in after losing to Drew McIntyre, come in and just immediately lose again. I think you've got to still try to maintain who Brock is and what he's capable of, while still having him do a fair amount of jobs at the same time. And I don't know if I'm having him come in and do one right after he just lost. It'd be like Edge losing at SummerSlam to Seth. Would have been weird after he lost at WrestleMania. So I think Brock might have to beat Roman, and then Roman beats him back. I don't know. But at this point, even with Brock and Goldberg around, well, especially Brock, not so much Goldberg, I don't really have any interest in either world champion right now dropping their titles. I'm happy with their runs and want them both to continue. So what WWE does, though, however, who knows? Saudi street fight. It could be. It could be. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that, Jason. SmackDown this Friday will be in Jacksonville. Interesting. AEW country down there. Right on. If you guys want to smash that thumbs up button for me, I'd appreciate it. We'll get into the next match here, which was... Oh, God, it wasn't even a match, really. The next two things weren't even a match. The first one was the 24/7 title being attempted at again outside. This time Reginald is in some sort of a park, and you've got R-Truth walking a dog, but it's just Akira Tozawa in a big dog costume. They're chasing Reginald around, just an opportunity for him to flip around. He jumped on top of a food truck or something. They went down a little walking bridge, and he's hopping back and forth on the railings. Looked like he reminded me of the old NES game. NES, by the way, for you kids, is called Nintendo Entertainment System. Came out in the mid-'80s. There was a game on there called Super Mario Brothers that was kind of popular. But an NES game, I remember, Ninja Gaiden, the way the guy up the walls, and that's what Reginald reminds me of. Ridiculous fucking segment. I don't know who thinks this is funny. Vince and Bruce probably do. I like Reginald. I like R-Truth, but it's just, it was so stupid. It did make me laugh it made me laugh because I watch it and I say, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? My God, just watching this shit was ridiculous. So anyway, Reginald escapes again and continues his run as 24/7 title. I don't know how long they're going to keep making this a thing, but it's still here for now. After that, we got Eva Marie and Dewdrop. This actually is one match that I do believe they advertised last week and stuck with. We did know we were going to get this. I think so. I think they announced that on Raw last week. So we get the match, but Eva Marie comes out to the ring first, and before the bell can even ring, Dewdrop, who came out very happy, bouncing down to the ring, gets in the ring and attacks Eva Marie from behind and just beats the shit out of her. I didn't even realize the bell didn't ring because she's just pummeling Eva and then hits her with her splash finisher thing. I'm like, sweet, they're going to squash Eva, but then the referee's not counting. And I'm like, oh, the bell didn't ring, fuck. So the referee basically determines that Eva Marie is unable to compete, obviously, because she just got the shit kicked out of her. And I guess that match was just thrown out, or maybe Dewdrop was disqualified, but didn't stop her from getting on the mic and saying the loser of the match is Eva Marie. So that was fun. Eva Marie got killed. It's always fun to see that. So I guess that was a bright spot. Plus, I really like Dewdrop. I just think she's a really good wrestler, and the roster needs that shit. And they fuck up the roster so badly. You got Shayna Baszler, like a badass, somebody that should be competing for a title all the time, is basically like a forgotten mid-card throwaway wrestler. When the roster could really use strong competitors, and if Dewdrop was pushed strong, if even Nia Jax was pushed strong, Charlotte, of course, is Charlotte. If Nikki was pushed like she's not a damn idiot, and you also have Dewdrop, this is not a bad group of women. When you just look at who they are, on paper, aside from all the dumb shit WWE does with them, Rhea and Nikki and Charlotte and Dewdrop, Shayna, that's not a bad core group of women to have. It's actually really good. But, they just make them such jokes, and then every one around them, both divisions feel like they're 5 or 6 women divisions. That's it. You should beef these up a bit and have a few more matches that mean something with shit at stake and contender matches or whatnot, just to try to help that division a little bit, because the talent is there. It's just your utilization of it, which just sucks so bad. Speaking of utilization that sucks so bad, out came the Gimp to take on Humberto Carrillo. So Karrion Kross is back in his Gimp outfit. Looks like they tightened up the suspenders a little bit on him. He's still got the Super Shredder mask. Still looks like a little bit like He-Man. and Darth Vader and Demolition all rolled into one delicious bouillabaisse. He takes on Humberto Carrillo, somehow gives him a 7-minute match after he beat Jeff Hardy in a minute a week or so ago, and eventually locks in the Kross jacket on Humberto Carrillo for the win, so Kross remains strong. Back-to-back, pretty big victories, or not big victories, but strong victories, I should say. Last week against Ricochet, here against Humberto Carrillo. He's going to continue to defeat these guys, I would assume, anytime he takes on somebody like that. But, once you put him in the ring with a Randy Orton or even a Riddle, who I think is a lot better than Kross, at least in the ring, sink or swim, motherfucker. Let's see what you can do. They're not doing him any favors with that ridiculous shit they put on him, which makes me so angry because, I think he could be a really solid title contender if they just left him the way he was. But the way he is now, just like the fans do not care. So we'll see if he can get back on track. WWE, they don't give up easily. So if they keep having him win, maybe fans will just start lightening up and, maybe giving him a little bit more support. But this is back-to-back. I was in San Diego. I was in the audience last week. Not one person in that arena gave a fuck when he came out. We wondered who the hell it was because we never seen that shit before. But, with the match, he doesn't get any response. And that's all on WWE. After that, we got the really interesting match, like I talked about earlier, between Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax. Man, tough spot for the IWC to be in. Who do they not like? Who do they hate in this one? They don't even know what they're supposed to be mad at. Probably the outcome of this match, they weren't even sure if they were supposed to be mad. They probably gave themselves a damn stroke trying to contain, the disorienting rage that they seem to have over both of these women. They should book these two in they're only pushed because they're related to on a pole match, because that's all you hear with these two. So neither one of these women are very well liked. This match was bowling shoe ugly, as Jim Ross would say, and got real ugly towards the end of the match when something was going on. There was some miscommunication, or there was a lack of cooperation or something going on in the ring there. And this they're both kind of shoving at each other, and Nia's looking at Charlotte like, don't. And, Charlotte went to kind of hit her again, and then Nia just peppers her with like 3 shoot slaps right to her face. Charlotte's hair is going all over the place. And I'm like, oh, snap, or whatever. And then Charlotte winds up taking like a buckle bomb. She goes down. She continues to sell. Or a buckle bump, I should say. And Nia even picks her up and kind of drops her, with not much protection there as well. So there was something going on between these two. And Charlotte Flair ate herself a crispy 3-piece. It was pretty damn hilarious, and I fucking loved it. I don't know why. I was laughing my ass off. In the end, though, not only was the little fight kind of interesting, the finish was powerbomb to Charlotte for the win. So what are the fans? The fans are probably so confused, because on one hand, you're supposed to hate it when champions get pinned. I hate it when champions get pinned. But then again, this is Charlotte. So maybe it's okay for them. I don't know. I just love watching them twist in the wind and not being able to manage their rage. It's hilarious to me. So hopefully, like I said, they won't have a stroke, and they won't die before they have a chance to live long and single and miserable. But Charlotte took the loss here. Nia Jax won. It looks like they're maybe positioning Nia Jax now to be the front runner for Charlotte Flair's title. Last week, Alexa Bliss came out and made it seem like she was going to be the next one. Didn't even see Little Miss Bliss tonight at all. So, don't know if there's anything to that, or they just left her off the show for whatever. Maybe not a specific reason. So hopefully nothing is going on there or with Alexa Bliss. Hopefully everything's okay. But that whole thing kind of seemed like it's off the table now and pulled in favor of something else. So Charlotte and Nia Jax, I get what? Now that's going to be your next title? They have enough time to even build this for Extreme Rules, or are you going to just do a match on Raw that'll lead to a rematch at Extreme Rules? I don't know, especially if they trade a couple of victories here. Maybe it will be like a rubber match type of thing at Extreme Rules, but it did not seem like they were getting along. And like I said, I noticed that Nia Jax was going to be on Raw Talk tonight, so if anybody knows of anything she said regarding the match with Charlotte tonight, I'm curious about it. And I'll be keeping an eye on the dirt sheets tomorrow, see what we can find out about those two, because that was fucking interesting, man, and weird. Alexa is all elite. I don't think so yet. Taker is awesome, is back. Thank you for the $2, man. Appreciate it. Budget cuts have really affected Lashley's reign. Yeah. Budget cuts have affected a lot. Sam Thompson, don't know. Miz got moved as well. And the funny thing is last week when I was at Raw, I came back to do a review, but I wasn't at the show taking notes or anything. So all I did was kind of pull up the shit here. And I was assuming when Miz turned that the match would just take place at Extreme Rules. And you guys in the chat were like, no, they're advertising it for Raw. So that was the deal all the way up until like yesterday or something. And so Miz wasn't on the show, kind of a flimsy excuse from John Morrison. So I don't know if it's because he says Miz left and went back to Hollywood or something like that, or ran away. So I don't know if this was WWE's last minute decision to move this match somewhere else, or if something happened to Miz and Alexa Bliss. It is possible, with all these, drop matches, there is a pandemic, so, maybe there's a COVID issue. I don't know. Or maybe it's just WWE's disorganization that was the result of these absences tonight. That's where my money would be, because this company doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So we'll see what they advertise for next week, only to drop and forget all about as if it never happened. We'll see. Should be fun. Why would Alexa want to work with the company that curates to the people, or maybe caters, you mean, to the people who bully her to troll? I don't know. I don't like what WWE does any more than the next guy, but I can't buy into this shit that, a lot of times when I've seen fans actually use the phrase abusive relationship when it came to Alexa and WWE. I mean, like WWE has changed Alexa Bliss's life. They have made her a millionaire. She is not being abused. Granted, everybody, not only her, but a lot of people could be used better, but let's not get crazy. It makes us sound stupid when you think about what real abuse is. It ain't that. So, I think she's fine. She's just in a position. Don't forget, wrestling fans are all crazy. So, if you're going to be a wrestler, you're going to be subject to a lot of trolling to begin with, no matter who you are. Even the most loved people get trolls. And get trolled. It's kind of the nature of the business. What happened after the Charlotte and Nia Jax UFC fight? Oh, yeah, it was Omos taking on Morrison. So Morrison did some weird-ass promo backstage. You talk about some tanner. Holy shit. He looked borderline green. He was so fucking dark in that HD camera. He offered, I guess, what was an explanation for him not taking on The Miz. And he had his dripstick or whatnot. And he said he's challenging Omos or what. I don't know how that even happened. But Omos showed up. And he's like, oh, it wouldn't want to be you, or sucks to be you, or something. So I didn't even listen to what the fuck they said. You go out to the ring after that. Obviously, Omos defeats Morrison. No Miz to be seen around there. AJ Styles, however, was at ringside for most of that match, or all of that match, I should say. And right after Omos won, we have Xavier Woods coming out. So just like Rhea Ripley did earlier on, coming out at the end of that United States title opening promo fiasco, we had Xavier coming out here at the end of Omos and Morrison because he's up next against AJ Styles one-on-one. So, of course, we go to commercial. We come back. We got AJ and Xavier. Pretty good little match here. Love both of these guys. And in the end, AJ locks the calf crusher on Xavier, and he taps out, and AJ wins. And then RK Bro comes out, I believe, right? So they keep doing that all night. So now RK Bro is out because now it's time for the main event. They're defending the tag team titles against Lashley and MVP. So we go to commercial. We come back. Everybody gets out there, all the participants. AJ sticks around, hangs out on commentary. And I do have to say, AJ is not half bad on commentary. Every time he sits in, he's kind of funny. He's entertaining, I should say. Like, he's not even necessarily good. He's just entertaining, if that makes any sense. He's kind of natural in that position. I like the way he yelled at Byron Saxton. He just made me chuckle like 2 or 3 times. So I like hearing AJ sit on commentary. He can be a funny guy when he wants to be. Anyway, pretty good match here too. Between these two teams. Kind of cool to see Orton and Lashley teasing a little bit. Because I don't think they've had a run-in yet with Lashley as WWE champion. I wouldn't even be opposed to that if they wanted to move into Lashley and Orton as their next program in between the Lashley and Goldberg shit, obviously. I'd be totally into that, especially if Lashley is able to defeat Goldberg and he's able to, defeat Randy Orton. He's getting these big victories under his belt, and then eventually you got to go for the bigger fish. You got Drew, you got Goldberg, you got AJ, you got Randy Orton, you've got a lot of major names here, but you haven't gotten Roman and you haven't gotten Brock yet, and there's money to be made there. So WWE, don't squander that opportunity to make some money with Lashley, with a big-time showdown with an alpha, and if you fuck that up in between by having this guy lose to a guy that's in his goddamn 50s, that's just going to be a crime, an absolute crime. So please don't do that. In the end, though, we did get a successful title defense for the tag champs. RK Bro, floating Bro to MVP for the win here. And Randy and Riddle worked very nicely together in the end. After the victory, Lashley spears the dog shit out of Riddle, basically cuts him in half. And as Riddle is down suffering, Randy Orton slithers in from behind, nails Lashley with an RKO as the show goes off the air. So really cool little thing between those two there. I would love to see Lashley and Randy Orton. I really would. I mean, in terms of what we've got on Raw, anyway, because we've already seen Lashley against Drew. Lashley and Priest, Priest has already got the U.S. title. Not that that would be bad. I'm not putting Priest in a position right now where he's going to lose. And we've seen Lashley work with a lot of the other top talent, and I don't think we've gotten him and Orton, at least in recent matches. So that could be something new. Riddle backing up Orton, rooting him on, cheering him on. Orton could even challenge for the title while he's tag team champions with Riddle. He can do both. He's very versatile. So we'll see what they do. Looks like that might be the direction, but I think Saudi Arabia is likely going to be where Lashley and Goldberg meet again. You got to think that's where the money is for the Goldberg. But anyway, we'll have to see where everything goes. It's a weird time. Do you guys know, also yesterday, Kevin Owens posted a video on social media. Yesterday apparently was the 5-year anniversary of when he won the Universal title in that major upset the night after SummerSlam, when Finn Balor won the title, but then got injured, had to forfeit it, and they did that fatal four-way deal at the end. Triple H interfered. Everybody thought he was there to help out Seth Rollins, and then he turned on Seth, and I think he turned on Roman as well, and pedigreed both or whatnot, and then Kevin Owens pins, I believe it's Roman, for the win. It's one of the greatest title wins I can remember in recent history. It was so amazing. It was so well done that I remember on the videos and people speculating on social media, on YouTube and dirt sheets and whatnot, there was some speculation that people actually thought that Kevin Owens didn't know it was going to happen because he had genuine shock and genuine disbelief on his face. He sold it so well. There has never been a better representation of a wrestler being in the moment than that right there. It was so awesome. And the fact that this guy has not had multiple World Championship runs by now is an absolute fucking crime. WWE, you should be ashamed of yourself. I want to know when Kevin Owens' contract is up. I want to know how many more years. Anybody got the dirt on that? Because what's the point of him sticking around at this point? He can go to AEW and have a fucking blast there. So he's another guy that, depending on what his contract situation is with WWE, if his contract is coming up relatively soon, as in the next year or two, hopefully within the next year, then I would love to see him jump ship. But, then again, he might just be WWE going forward. You don't know. But 5 years, man. 5 years since that match, and it was so great. Lost to Goldberg. I always thought he would kind of get back. There's still time. You could technically put the title on Goldberg and have Kevin Owens beat him for it. But I don't know how they'd even get there. So anyway, Kevin Owens is the man. He should be pushed more. Yeah, one of the best episodes of Raw ever of that time period, And it was, you talk about a way to land on their feet. That was literally the next best thing. It was kind of a disaster, really. That was a brand new championship belt, the belt that's going to be a prominent world title. And you start off with a hiccup that big. You're going to crown this new guy. NXT call-up. He beat Roman Reigns clean on Monday Night Raw, kind of because Roman was still getting punished for the suspension, but he beat Roman on Raw to earn that opportunity to face Seth, and then wins the title but gets injured in the process, and the very next night has to forfeit the title. You kind of felt like that was just a disastrous scenario because now they're just going to have to put the belt on Seth, or they're going to have to put it on Roman. So to swerve us like that and stick it on Kevin Owens, I'm like, okay, it's still a new guy. It's not like they went back to one of them. It couldn't be Balor, so they said they picked the next best thing. Okay, another kind of indie star, somebody from NXT that everybody loves and was going to pop huge for when he wins the title. I thought Kevin Owens as Universal Champion was great, and he should have been champion longer. But that Goldberg guy had something to say about that. Always really fun. See if there's anything else left here to be discussed in the chat. Not much. Not much of an audience in here tonight either, but I'm always happy to see all of you that are here with us every single week. And we'll be doing the watch-alongs, don't forget, starting 1 week from this Wednesday, right after All Out, September 8th. I'm going to be up here every Wednesday. We're going to watch Dynamite together, all 2 hours of it. Hang out and chat, review the show, whatnot, and that'll be our Wednesday tradition, at least for the fall. And my light is making me sweat. So that might be my cue to bounce on out of here. Since it was kind of a lackluster Raw, I figured we would cut this stream a little bit short. I will get back to working on some of the stuff I'm working on this week, getting that fall schedule ready here on the channel. So going to be debuting some new stuff coming up at the beginning of September. And as far as this week goes, what I'll probably do, be up here like Thursday afternoon. And we'll talk news, see if there's any more news on Adam Cole. And we'll talk about Wednesday Night Dynamite if we do see Adam Cole. Or whatever goes down on Wednesday, we'll be up on Thursday to talk about that. We'll discuss any wrestling news going on as well. And then after that, I'll be back up on Saturday for the podcast. We'll talk SmackDown, Rampage, anything else that's been going on. We'll take care of all that then. And then the following week is when we're going to start those Dynamite watch-alongs. And of course, this coming Sunday is All Out, and we're going to be up here for a full review of that after the show. I am really excited for All Out. That's going to be a blast. So make sure you're subscribed. Shoot me a follow over on Twitter at GoodMicWork if you want to hear my random thoughts on shit in between streams. You can find that stuff over there. And I guess I will catch you guys in just a couple of days for a Dynamite